Hello, everyone. We're going to get started. Welcome to the pitching event at Big. We've got a bunch of different studios that are going to come up and pitch for about 10 minutes each about their game, about their studio, hopefully in English. Hopefully that's not a surprise for anyone. We've got a couple of judges in the front row that are going to be looking at these pitches and picking the best one. So without further ado, first is a drift team with Stick in the Landing.
Okay, hi. Hi. It's being watched or? Oh. Okay. Hi. We are a drift team. We are presenting Stick in the Landing, which I will tell you later. This is our team. We thought that this presentation is going to be in Spanish, so it's written in Spanish, so sorry. Here we are. And our game is Stick in the Landing, which is a puzzle game about placing the different stickers to create a gravitational field in order to make the ship go from the start to the goal, avoiding the obstacles and exploring all the house with all the different stickers. This is I want to show our trailer, but I don't know if so. Here it is, but it doesn't have sound, I think. Can we have sound in this presentation? So. Sorry. And that's it. As you can see, is you can. Oh my God. You must place the different stickers, and you have like a lot of obstacles and all of that. I don't know if I'm. And as we have, I want to share with you the trip that we as a team have made with this game, which for me is kind of amazing, which is that we have published with Entalto Publishing, and we have this game published for Nintendo Switch and Steam, as it has been shown in the 24th of October. And we have gone to some international events like the Tokyo Game Show, the Gamescom, the Indie Dev Day, which is national, and the last big. And we have appeared in radio and the press. So where do we go now? We as a team, we are working in new titles, in new projects, in order to have more opportunities and to develop the games that we want to create. And with that, we hope to be a greater studio, most relevant studio, which is clearly a thing, and something important in industry of Aragon, which is our province, I don't know, and in Spain. And that's it.
Up next is Amigutos, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Studios with Blast Course.
Vamos a ver con el PowerPoint, ¿vale? Y hablas desde este micro.
Hello everyone, my name is Miguel Diaz, and on behalf of my team I present to you Blast Course. Blast Course is a first-person puzzle platformer designed around a classical video game mechanic, rocket jumping, which has been a staple of video games such as Quake or Team Fortress 2. What sets our game apart, however, is our dedication towards bringing complex kinesthetic gameplay to a wider audience. Rocket jumping was never an intentional mechanic, which made it come with a lot of user-hostile complexities like airstrafing or seat-tapping. But in Blast Course, we redesigned rocket jumping from the ground up to make it more accessible while still being fun and challenging to engage with. It's also worth mentioning that this is a puzzle game. We could have just designed a gotta-go-fast obstacle course and call it a day. However, that approach can already be found in the games that inspired us. Instead, the answer we came up with was to treat movement as the solution to a puzzle. Instead of focusing on the speed, precise controls, and twitch skills associated with rocket jumping, we give more importance to the creativeness and expressiveness that it allows. Lastly, the comic-inspired look of the game results in distinct environments with a very clear visual language, which is beneficial on a game that emphasizes space and movement so much. Let's talk about the gameplay. In Blast Course, players will progress through 4 different levels, where they will upgrade the rocket launcher with 4 different types of ammunition. These levels also introduce mechanics that inspire creative use of said ammunition, like a turret that shoots down rockets or a field that freezes objects in time. Despite our casual target audience, ingenuity does not replace mechanical skill. Once players figure out how to beat the challenges in place, then they can try to be fast and flashy, which, since the game came out, many have done. About the game's narrative, rocket jumping is inherently funny, so we decided to place it in an equally ridiculous story. In Blast Course, you play as Kit, a testing dummy who thinks he's a real person. Kit is working for the Interesting Company, a shipping corporation that has decided things like trucks or trains are just too damn slow. The answer they've come up with is sure to revolutionize the world of transportation, hyperboom, and innovative new technology. Blasting yourself with explosives, with no flaws in this design. The game's visual style helps to convey both its differences and similarities with its inspirators. We settle on a retrofuturistic look from around the 70s and 80s. The colors are mostly warm and very saturated, since our major inspirators include the kitsch movement and posters from the Cold War. Everything is designed to be very eye-catching and removed from realism, which helps to accommodate such a non-realistic main mechanic. Furthermore, the game's graphics feature an outline and stylized shadows that imitate linear hatching. Most textures are covered in half-tone dots, and cartoony onomatopoeias accompany important sound effects. All of these builds on top of our artistic references to give everything the feel of a comic book. And now behold the game's trailer.
Welcome, valued employee, to your new home, the Interesting Company. You have been selected to be one of the testers of our groundbreaking project, Hyperboom.
Welcome to Sulphur Valley.
Embrace the future with the Interesting Company, one explosion at a time. Now, let's get you working.
I hope I've managed to convey how, through our casual approach and somewhat obscure yet very recognizable roots, we managed to bring old and new together, filling in a very comfortable niche in the space of movement-oriented video games. Thank you for your time.
Next up, we have Tiny Tavern with Hunter Big.
Se me había bloqueado. No me deja salir, tío. Es router, ¿no? Voy a descargarla también. O igual me deja meterla aquí. No. Y bueno, es esto. Vamos a seguir.
Esta es la de Blasco todavía.
Es como que no me deja, ¿no?
¿Alt F4?
¿Cuál?
¿Alt F4?
Dale, dale. Ahí está, por lo que sea. Y dale a presentación.
Perfecto. Alright. Hello everyone, I'm Joel from Tiny Tavern, and today I'll be presenting you Gunter. So let's start with our hook. What if you cook them, the creatures, the prey, alive? With that question out, let's take a look at the trailer.
Yeah.
So now that you've seen a little bit what the game is about, what is it exactly? Well, it's an action-adventure twin-stick shooter, and we target a mid-core audience, people who like smaller games, original concepts. Our selling points will start with our main mechanic, the hunting and cooking, which is the act of cooking your prey during the combat, finishing the combat with a finished dish. Then we have a cute gore aesthetic, which is having the mix between an adorable world and adorable creatures with slight disturbing sides and slightly gory touches to it. And our context, we are highly inspired by Iberian mythology. Now, let's take a look at our story, our world. Well, we are inside of a witch's cauldron on top of a floating potato where a patch of mold grew and a civilization of gnomes arose. For our story, we are Gunter. Our uncle, Gunkel, who was the previous gnome chef, royal chef, has disappeared. And the king apparently has fallen ill because of it. So it becomes our legacy to become the next royal chef and hopefully save the king and the kingdom. But of course, as with our cute gore aesthetic, there is also a dark side to the story, but you'll have to figure out that for yourselves. Now into the gameplay, let's start with the game flow. You always start at the tavern, where you get your orders. and then you can complete them by hunting and cooking. In the adventure, where you'll be also able to explore and get special items that, going back to the tavern, with your finished orders and these items, you'll be able to upgrade your character. Now in the tavern, there are two sides. On one side, you've got Gooker, who's going to provide you with the main orders to achieve becoming the next royal chef. And on the other side, you've got an array of characters, with each providing you with upgrades when you provide them with orders. Now, let's go to the wilderness, and let's take a look at the adventure. So this is our map. We've got 3 distinct biomes, starting from very adorable, very lively, to more dark, almost alien-like, with the difficulty also ramping up. What will you be doing in the adventure? Well, you'll have to explore, find chests where you find these items, special paths, and you'll have to avoid hazards. You'll also have to collect ammunition for your main weapon and ingredients that you'll use for your cooking. And then, of course, you'll have to cook. So you have to find the actual creatures that you need to cook for each order and make the appropriate dishes for each. Then I've been talking about this mechanic of hunting and cooking. How does it work? Well, it combines 4 different elements. First, we have the cooking method, where you have fire, boiling water, and oil. Then we have the ingredients, which act like abilities that you can add flavors to your cooking. You have cheese, jam, and wine. And then we have the final step in the cooking process, which is the cut, where you would have hammer, skewer, and a blade. And of course, we can't forget about the creature. So then, if you would take this basilisk, cook it with fire, add cheese, and cut it with the blade, you would get braised basilisk. But then, if you take another combination of cooking method, ingredients, and the cut, you get a different dish. This, since all of these elements play differently and make you play differently, with all these combinations, we not only get more than 240 dishes, but we also get more than 240 combat experiences. Thank you.
Halfway through. Next, we got Labrat Studios with Castle of the Despair.
Buddhist.
No es este.
Ah, joder, perdona, eres tú, perdona. Tú eres...
Labrit Studio.
Labrit, vale, perdona.
Porque me lo invento, ¿eh?
No. que me he columpiado yo. Aquí. Venga.
Vale.
Hay que hacerlo de pantalla, ¿no? ¿Cómo es hacerlo? La pantalla dividida.
Gracias. Ay, no, la anterior. Ahí. Buenos días a todos. Egunon, good morning. Bueno, la presentación sintiendo mucho... Hostias, ¿qué estoy haciendo? Ahora. La presentación sintiendo mucho la voy a hacer en castellano, ya que mi nivel de inglés no es demasiado bueno. Así que dicho esto, bienvenidos y bienvenidas a Castle of Despair. ¿Recordáis la noche de los castillos? Si nacisteis en los 80 o los 90, estoy seguro que diréis un sí con mayúsculas. Pero para los que sois más jóvenes, era un programa que se emitía en la televisión española, donde un grupo de concursantes vivía aventuras en uno de los más emblemáticos castillos de nuestra geografía española. Por lo tanto, Castle of Despair os recordará a dicho programa. Dicho esto, aquí está el trailer para que lo veáis. Epa. ¿Cómo va aquí?
Bienvenido a Castle of Despair, el programa de televisión de tu vida. Estás encerrado en las prisiones de nuestro castillo. Dispones de un mechero que te ayudará a resolver puzzles mientras iluminas el oscuro camino. No te preocupes por las cámaras que te graban. Tu mayor preocupación es el malvado Thor, que estará esperando para atraparte. Y si lo hace... bueno, mejor que no. Entra, sobrevive y escapa. Ofrécenos un gran espectáculo y puede que te lleves una gran recompensa.
Ya he liado. ¿Cómo se sale de aquí?
Bienvenido a Castle of Despair.
Ahí está. ¿Pero qué es Castle of Despair? Bueno, es el programa de tu vida, donde encarnamos a un joven que de repente se despierta con amnesia y en una celda. Muy original, ¿verdad? Tenemos como una única ayuda a un mechero que no solo nos ayudará a iluminarnos el camino, sino que nos será muy útil para solucionar los diferentes puzzles que veremos por el castillo. El juego está desarrollado en Unity y es en primera persona. En algunos momentos se combinará con cámaras fijas, simulando las cámaras de un plató de televisión. Es una RuneScape del género de terror. En pocas palabras, te lo terminarás haciendo encima. Aquí tenemos al malvado Thor, que es nuestro perseguidor. Él está encerrado en otra celda. No obstante, no tardará en seguirnos en todo el escenario. Y sabremos que está cerca de nosotros por un sonido estridente e inquietante. Su velocidad es lenta, pero puede acecharnos tras cualquier esquina. Y si Thor consigue atraparnos, bueno, veremos la pantalla de Game Over y no va a ser nada agradable. El castillo es el escenario principal donde se desarrolla la aventura. Es un plató de televisión dentro de un castillo medieval. Y aunque aparentemente es un castillo, podremos ver elementos modernos como unas cámaras grabándonos en todo momento. El castillo es el principal antagonista, ya que tendremos que resolver sus puzzles para poder escapar de esta trampa mortal. Y con Thor acechándonos en todo momento, que no vas a tener ni un segundo para poder respirar. Y bueno, por último, me gustaría aprovechar, si me dais un segundo, aprovechar el impacto de este evento para anunciar mi próximo lanzamiento para móviles, que se llama Michi y sus amigos, y es un juego gratuito en el que los beneficios irán destinados para refugios de animales. Pues nada, soy Labrit, Joseba Ventosa. En mi tarjeta de presentación soy CEO de Labrit Studios. En mi mente soy diseñador de videojuegos y en mi corazón soy un gamer. Muchas gracias, es que ricasco, thank you very much. Y perdón por los nervios.
Next, we have Soton Hart Games with Good East.
Sí. ¿Te pongo la presentación?
Hi everyone, I'm Íñigo González de San Román, one of the developers of Good East. Good East is the result of a project my peer Alexandrine and myself have developed in the last few months, not as a commercial game, but as a prototype to improve our Unreal Engine 5 skills and to develop a systematic game, and that's why we tried to replicate the main mechanics of Bad North. As a result, we obtained a real-time strategy game prototype in which you try to defend your settlements from an imminent invasion. Our main gameplay loop consists on three steps in which you select the units depending on the level itself and the types of enemy units that are going to invade your island. Then you try to defend it. If you succeed, you will get some rewards in that can be either gold to upgrade your units or items that can be equipped to them, and then you can either upgrade them or equip the items. Inside the step of defending the island, we have another loop that consists on visualizing the enemy boats, repel the invaders, and heal the units if necessary. To visualize the enemy boats, the player will scout the island by moving the camera and detecting either the boat itself or the icon we put to recognize the type of unit that comes inside the boat. Then the player must move the units to a suitable position, and they will start attacking enemies in range automatically. If some units are damaged or killed, and your commander leaves, you can move the troops inside houses, in an empty house, to heal them and make them reappear ready to fight. In terms of unit types, we have the militia, which is the most basic type of unit. It's quite weak, but can be upgraded into 3 different types of units. The first one is the infantry, that is a well-rounded type of unit that specializes in either dodging or blocking enemy shots and is generally quite tanky. Then we have the archers, which are the ranged option in the game, and get even more range if they have the upper round, but can miss their shots, unlike the other units. And finally, and exclusively to the player, we have the spearmen, which are a melee unit but attack within a tile of range and knock back the enemies on hit, so are especially good on defending key points of the map. However, they are extremely vulnerable when moving because they cannot attack back when doing so. This gives us a rock, paper, scissors type of relationship between the units, in which the infantry counters the archers deals perfectly with the spearmen, and the spearmen do the same with the infantry. Last but not least, we have the Jordnar that are exclusive to the enemy side, and in the most difficult levels of the game, which we have 10, they will be the major threat of them, and are a giant-sized version of either the infantry or the archers. And let's look at a little piece of gameplay. As I said, this was not being meant to be a commercial game, so we are very thankful for the opportunity of being here, and we encourage you to pass by the stand and try out the game. Thank you for your attention.
Next up is Fondue Games with Mouse Ventures.
¿Vale? Y te lanzas la presentación, ¿vale?
¿Empezamos con el trailer igual? Sí, empezamos con el trailer, lo ponemos en archivo.
Eso, y luego lo tienes aquí, ¿vale?
Vale, perfecto.
Y tienes el pasador aquí.
So first we are going to start with the trailer so you can see what the game's about. So we are Unai and Mirari, part of the Found You Games studios. We are both graduates. We graduated this year, and we are going to present you Mouse Ventures, which is our final project and something we are really proud of.
Okay, so before I start actually like giving you a brief explanation of what our game is about, we made this in a Unreal Engine. Regarding the development, I guess that we as artists used more like the blueprint approach, and then the programming department used actual coding. So about our game, lo tengo al revés. About our game, I'm gonna explain a bit about the first level. So the first level, it's the King Arthur's tale, more like Prince Arthur's, as you can see. And we have to basically help him out to lift his sword by using the power of magnetism. The magnetism basically works like real life. You will have to pull or push objects in order to solve the puzzles, which this game is about solving puzzles. This is like, you already saw it in the trailer, but this is basically like a bit of the mechanics. Basically, King Arthur will give you the power, so you are able to use it, and in the end, he will be able to use it with you.
And the second book, the second level, is based on an Aztec theme, based on a desert, and the idea is to help Rabbit find his friend and solve puzzles in order to reach him. This is an aspect of the level where you can see that everything is based on a desert with the temples. The main mechanic of this level, as you have seen on the trailer, is based on lighting. The idea is to guide light beams through the level and reach from the emitter to the receiver. To do that, you can use the different objects in the puzzles, like the mirrors that bounce the light and may help you reach to the receiver. But as we wanted to make it something more complex, we added extra parts, like the color changer, which basically changes color, the splitter that divides the light beam in two, and the combiner that helps you combine two beams in one. With this, we created simple puzzles, but that can be challenging if the player wants to make the puzzle harder or use another route, because there is no path defined. You can do it in the way you want.
Okay, well, of course, this was released on Steam, and we encourage you to play it. We're going to be in the stand, so if you're interested to play our game, we will be like super happy to help you out with it and help you with this adventure, I guess. So see you there, and thank you so much for listening.
Up next, we have Pina Studio with Abyssa.
Okay, hello. My name is Susana, and I am here in behalf of Pina Studio, and I'm gonna present you the trailer first of all to set a bit the mood. Well, in this game, you control a monk that is a wielder of magic named Archibald, and he's just resuscitated minions. And with them, you will be fighting hordes of abyssal creatures. All of this in the format of a 3D strategy game, turn-based. Each of these characters have their own abilities and they rule within the team, and I will introduce them to you. This is the Cauldron. He is the healer of the group, and he's also a long-distance unit with area abilities. What stands out the most is his overflow ability that allows him to damage enemies and heal allies at the same time. Anan is the swordsman of the group. He's a melee unit and also a very productive brother. He has long-distance abilities, such as throwing his knife and also being able to teleport. Banan is the tank of the team. He's another melee unit with area abilities by either slamming his mace against the floor or being able to taunt several enemies by area. The interesting thing between Anan and Banan is that as brothers, they are connected through their passive abilities. If an enemy damages Banan, Anan gets mad and his attack is boosted and he becomes lethal to a couple of turns. In the way that if he gets to kill any enemy, Banan restores a bit of his health. And last but not least, we have Archibald, the protagonist and the sorcerer of the team. He's a long-distance unit that has the most powerful attack of the game. A fireball that basically annihilates everything that it touches. But as any other attack, you gotta be very careful with it because you can actually harm your own team. So there's friendly fire, literally, in this case. Also, as the protagonist, if he dies, it's game over. So to balance that out, we gave him the passive ability of being able to drain his minions' health to restore his. But you gotta be careful because this is a double sword, you know, like you can restore his health, but you can also be left with no minions and lose anyways. By interweaving all their actions and abilities, you will be able to navigate through the city of Bathis Terskill through hordes of these eldritch-like creatures, these abyssal creatures, that have three types. Void Ravagers are melee enemies, Abyss Spewers are the ranged enemies, and Deep Scorchers are the explosive enemies. And you start your game only with Archibald and just a few of these enemies in order to be able to accustom to the abilities, the interface. When you get closer to the city, when you get closer to the city, you reunite your whole team. And the closer you get to the heart of the city, the more enemies there are and the more distracted it is. Until you get to the cathedral. And in its interior, you not only get to the original place of all of this invasion, but also to the origin person of this invasion, the final boss, Alaric, who actually is the brother of our protagonist. His greed made him try to kill Archibald and get to kill his minions, and his thirst of power made him do a deal with abyssal entities that obviously got out of hand. So your final objective in the game is to defeat Alaric and restore peace and normality in the city, and also gain vengeance in the way, So with that, you would be more than capable of dealing with the abyss and whatever comes out of it. So thank you very much, and we hope that you enjoy it.
Next is Mousetrap Studios with Zima Polaris.
Well, I'm so sorry. Tú sabes mejor.
Hello to everyone. I'm the representative of Mousetrap Studios from DigiPen, and I'm gonna present you the game that we have been developing the previous year for almost 8 months. And our game, it's called Thema Polaris, and it's a 2D platformer, physics-based and puzzle adventure video game in which the main character has to climb a mountain, the name called Thema Polaris, to get the most wished thing that he has. Well, for the context of the game, the main character, as a fox cub, was adopted by a bird mom, and he was raised by her with his brothers. And passing the seasons, he had to leave them because they had to go to the south, and he got an idea about getting what he wanted and getting it in going to the top of the mountain of the Thema Polaris. Well, our main character is Misu, and we wanted to get a very dynamic and juvenile character, so we got to this final design, and after trying a lot of different sketches and everything, and also with the animations, we tried to get very smooth feeling. And here, as you can see, the animations and some mechanics that are going to be used to climb the mountain, as the rope or the piolets and the hook during all the journey. Also, during the journey around, to up the mountain, he's going to find some different NPCs that, for example, this one is called Mina, and she will give him the piolets in order to help him with some areas on the mountain. This one is Astrid, and that she will give him another tool to help him. And this one is Tess, and she will help him, but doing a modification to one of the tools. With these NPCs, we wanted to try to get a very nice design in order to give them the most personality that we could, in order to get a more inclusive, more immersive experience during the gameplay. And as well, during the journey, you will find different environments up to the mountain in order to get that feeling of going up and altitude. At the bottom, we will find this greenish, more forest area. Then there's a underground part where we are gonna find here Mina, the NPC, and this is to show that the mountain from below it's more cold and more rocky. And then going up, we will find a more reddish colored area, more rocky, in order to show that the mountain is going up, and it's a very high mountain. And if you want to see more than this, you will find different more things in our game Thema Polaris. And this is everything. Thank you so much for hearing, and I hope you have enjoyed.
Last but not least, we have emergency meeting with spells and spices.
Hi.
Sí, eso es.
Hola. Vale. Waiting for all these people. So, have you ever been told not to play with food? Well, that's exactly what you need to do in our video game. We're an emergency meeting, and this is Spells and Spices.
Spells and Spices is a single-player action-adventure game where you take on the roles of Soso, Vainilla, and Percebe, young chefs with special abilities. Use these powers to solve puzzles, find treasures, and defeat moldy enemies. Also, wield your cutlery and use magical abilities to make your way through the world of umami and reclaim the culinary palace from the clutches of the mold.
This game features 3 unique zones: the Soso's home, the Sweet Village, and the Salty City. Has 2 unique game final bosses and an hour of flavorful content. So, what's Emergency Meeting? We are a team of 9 video game students from the University of A Coruña with passion for both food and video games, of course. We worked really hard to develop our very first video game as a part of a 3-month subject in the University of A Coruña.
For the visual style of the game, we use a low poly aesthetic that we think turned out to be quite appealing and distinctive. And this helped us develop the large number of assets that we had in mind within the time constraints. This also involved designing and creating a wide variety of assets, like the models, the textures, the rigs, and the animations, which proved to be quite a significant challenge in such a short time project.
We create 3 playable characters, each inspired by the flavor of their respective homelands. Every character has unique traits and skills because of their flavor and personality.
Soso lacks a distinctive flavor. He's not a really good chef. So he uses a spork, a not really useful tool, and his magical power allows him to steal the flavor of his enemies, which are food.
Vainilla is a really sweet and cute chef from Sweet Village, but she has a really strong personality. Her ability makes vanilla flowers bloom to help her reach higher grounds and higher spots.
The chef of Salty City, Percebe, is confident and a little arrogant, but he always helps his neighbors in trouble. His name comes from a marine creature inspiring his salt-based abilities that helps him creating salt bridges and crystallizes the spikes in his journey.
The main villain of our story is the weak mold, which has invaded the culinary palace and corrupted food all around the world, leading them to attack Umami's people.
We've got different kind of enemies depending on the location they're in. For example, in Sweet Village, we've got cookies that spit chocolate chips, we've got croissants that try to bite you, and we've got cherries that chase the player and explode. To free the village, you will have to face a giant moldy cake as the final boss.
The game uses a combo system, using the utensils of each character as weapons. Players must break the chains of the enemies to stun them and gain the upper hand. Additionally, you can switch between characters that have magical attacks and special abilities to solve puzzles and progress through the world.
So enjoy this deliciously magical adventure where creativity, action, art, and fun comes together in this cute game. Spells and Spices is here to serve up a game experience full of flavor, and you can play it in our stand here at Big Conference. Thank you very much.
That concludes our student pitch this year. What's going to happen next is our judges, Andrew from Debugged, Ryan from Lost in Cult, and Daniel from Critical Reflex, are going to talk about their winners and pick one, which is then going to be presented at the awards at 6 p.m. tonight. I'd like to remind you all that all of these games are out there on display, so do go play the ones that you found interesting and check them out further. And that's it. Done.